Welcome to Nerd Scale Models. I am Jason, your host, and I do models and Nintendo Switches. What's up with that? Today we have a new Switch to work on. This is Switch number 1007. The 7th Switch in my army here. It was bought as a bad charging port. So you can see here, I'll go under the microscope and we'll look at the charging port here. Let me get it focused. See me focus it, and we'll look at this right here. You can see that they turn it around so I can point out which pin it is. So if you look in there like so, pin 4, which is the power pin, looks like it is crossed with pin 5, which is VCon, on the bottom row of pins. Top row of pins doesn't look too bad, but this port is going to need to be replaced. Let's see if it's loose in any way. Sometimes they are loose. Oh, it seems locked in there, so might not be too much of an issue. Let's get the switch apart. I'm going to put that down there, and I'm going to get my pentalobe screws out. Hopefully they are in there. That's understandable, I guess. Seem a little tighter than this. May never have been opened. That's good. Those that pentalobe screw may be stripped at this point. I may need to put a new screw in there. It doesn't want to come out. I wonder if this is another liquid damaged unit. Came out. I'll put all these screws in their proper place. These are definitely driven in there pretty tight. Now this one is missing a kickstand, so I will have to replace that. Let's take out the kickstand screw here. That one is the correct screw in there. Let's take out these two. These are supposed to be non-magnetic screws. They appear to be. I'm just going to pause for a second and lighten this image up a little bit. Sorry for the camera shake. It sometimes focuses in on the white and doesn't it darkens the image on my camera on the exposure, so my really white hands don't help. So then we're going to take out this middle screw right here. We don't need to take out the others, just this middle screw here. There's a rail screw. So hopefully we can get this all fixed in one go. It just needs a port and nothing else. So let us see here. Concerned about that Y-wing screw not coming out. So I'm going to hold that down like that. I'm going to try to get it to come out all the way here. Yep, there we go. So that screw has come out. I'm going to put that screw to the side because it is probably no good. And we're going to pull that off. So back cover looks good. Kickstand bracket probably needs to be replaced. That's fine. We'll either do a metal kickstand upgrade or a regular upgrade. It's dusty inside, which is, expected on these. Let's take out the memory card. And let's start taking off this metal shield. So far, it has all the right screws in all the right places. That's a good sign. Try to make sure that I put it back with all the right screws, all the right places. If you guys are just joining the channel, you know, if you haven't watched my stuff before, please subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, all that good stuff. So I can tell that that looks like it hasn't come off before. It doesn't look like it's been redeformed in any way. So that looks like it's not come off before. So this probably hasn't been opened. The liquid damage sensor is not tripped, but there is a little bit of discoloration on the black battery wire. So not sure about that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to disconnect this battery here, and I'm going to take my test battery, which is right here. So labeled test battery, and I'm going to plug it in to this and hold it and see if I can get this to turn on with the test battery. I do get backlight. Appears that I have backlight. No, I don't have backlight. So it doesn't want to turn on with a charged good battery. So probably could be that M92 shorted out, or the port is still shorting something out on the board. So we need to get this out of here. So let's take off this heatsink first. So that makes sense, I guess. So we're going to get this the rest of the way disassembled. Another way you can tell if these have been into is if this comes away, this section right here comes away from the fan without too much tearing. A lot of times no, see, this is not coming away. Sometimes you can get these off without doing much damage, but not this time. Sometimes. And I've seen other people take these off much easier and much better than that. It definitely has factory thermal paste on it. Get that cleaned up now. Chunk off of there. This chunk. It's actually a little bit gooey for thermal paste. All right, so get rid of the thermal paste. Don't have to worry about that now. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo this touch sensor here, this touch and game card reader module. To pop up this connector right there, and I'm going to fold this out of the way so I can get to this fan connector. Before I do that, I'm going to unhook the fan and the power button. So unhook the fan, just the fan for right now. Some people don't take the fan out. I take the fan out. It makes it easier to get the board back in and out of the case when testing. So take the fan out. Now I will we'll go ahead and get rid of the touch module and take that out. All right, so I'm going to undo the LCD connector. Oh, be careful when you're undoing this, you can easily damage the pins. Pull it out evenly. Then it's time to unhook all the other stuff. Speaker connectors. This Joy-Con rail here. This Joy-Con rail. And the backlight. Now we have this antenna, and the power button. Now we can take out the motherboard screws. There's 2 in the USB port here. And there's, I believe, 4 motherboard screws. One just here. My screwdriver has lost its magnetic. Its magnetic properties. I have to attach a magnet to it later. Get all these screws out here. This board should just come right on out. So now we got the board out. We need to get this board off of here. So put the unit back in its container. Testing later. And here's what we have here. We're going to do a quick inspection. We know the port needs to be changed on it, but we're going to do a quick inspection under the microscope. Just to look at some stuff, and then we're going to take the port off and do some testing. So I'm going to get this into focus. I'm going to switch over to take a look at it here. All right, so here we go. So this area is the BQ. This is the battery management IC here. So everything looks good there. Port we know is bad. This does not have the diode arrays on it. They would be why that image is so dark. There we go. Let's try that. There we go. So does not have the diode arrays. That filter doesn't look too pretty. Looks like it's got some scorch marks around it. See there, right in here. It looks like there's some scorch marks coming from this filter. Could be on the back side, went through, not sure. This is why we inspect the board. Here's the M92 chip. That MOSFET looks a little crooked. It's soldered. M92 could be blown. Let's take a look at the other side of the board at P13. These filters look blown. So that power pin comes in and connects to either this pad or this pad. One's CC and one's VCon, but it also comes in up here. That pin that was touching power also is this unit, this pin right here. So if you look at the back, it comes through in this area here and goes over to these. So, but until I get that port off, I'm not gonna know, but that looks smoked right here. This filter looks like it even looks like it has a crack in it. So that's probably gonna definitely have to be replaced. Yeah, it's already loose. So that is gonna be a next thing we do after we get the port off and we do some testing. So I am going to pause here and get set up for the removal of this port. Okay, we're going to pull this port off now. So I got it here. I'm going to add some cheap flux. This is supposed to be Amtech, but it is not. I'm going to add some flux to this side of the port. And I'm going to flip it over here to where I can heat it from the underside. That into focus. Add some flux, no low melt solder or anything. I do this a couple different ways. I'm doing it this way this time because it seems to work best for me. I'm going to take, I have a pair of ceramic tweezers. I got my hot air set to 480. I'm going to do my airflow set to 50%. And I'm going to come in here. And I'm going to heat this up around here like so. Heat this port up around here like so. I'm going to get this all, and I'm going to grab it with my ceramic tweezers and hold it. And I'm going to heat up. Oh, hold on, guys. Okay, so I had a phone call. Now we're back. Same deal. I got my ceramic tweezers. I'm holding the port. And I'm going to slowly heat this up here until the joints get molten all around here. And I'm holding pressure on them. I'm holding the port up. And I use the ceramic tweezers because they dissipate the heat. And then I'm going to get these outer ground legs going here as I work around here. Work around the heat. And this isn't by far the fastest way to take a port off. I have done it faster. I need to turn on my fume extraction. Gently heat up this board here. That's molten. Keep heating it up. It'll be ready to drop in a minute. Oh, this one is proving to be a stickler of it. So I'm going to pull off my nozzle. I'm going to do it the other way I would normally do it. Take my nozzle off, crank up my airflow, and I'm going to directly heat it from above here. Normally the thinner nozzle does tend to work, but sometimes it gives me issues. There it goes. Port's dropped. So if we look at the bottom of the port, it doesn't look like I pulled any pads. That's good. It didn't melt the heck out of the port, but who cares? So let's flip the board over here. The board is hot. Let's flip the board over. Let's make sure Everything looks good. There's no bridges on the port there. Now, let's address this filter. This filter is, that filter is definitely blown. Oh man, my mat really bubbled. My mat normally doesn't bubble. I have a hard time focusing on that filter. Why is the light so... There we go. So that filter is definitely blown. So I am going to pull it off. So I'm going to pull that filter off here. It is very hot. All right. So I'm going to turn my airflow down to about 40 out of 120. Same temperature, 480. And I'm going to get that filter out of there. Got a little bit of flux to it. I'm going to pull it off the board because it is definitely blown. We're going to hope, now that line goes to the CPU directly, so we're going to hope it didn't blow the CPU with its angerness and wanting to blow. So I'm going to hope none of the traces got torn when it decided to blow. Slowly heat it up here. Quite yet. Those filter is off of there. That filter is gone. Can't tell if that pad is blown. I'm going to hook up my micro pencil and I'm going to fluff up the pads of that filter. So I'm using a Hakko FX 951 station and a FM 2032 micro pencil. So I'm going to add a little bit more flux while this heats up. A bit of flux to that. I'm going to see if the pad is still there. And a little bit of leaded solder to it. Here's the pad is still there. It's just needs more flux. There we go. No, wait a minute. Yep, that trace is blown. So I need to repair that trace. That trace is going to have to be fixed. So this is going to be a complex repair. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to load up my meter software. I'm going to turn off the fume extractor. I'm going to get out. I want to get the meter on the screen. And we're going to do some testing on M92 to see if there's any shorts on M92, to see if we need to change M92 or P30 or P13 or whatnot. So I'm going to get this loaded up so you guys can see it. So the meter on the screen. So I'm going to put it in continuity mode. Continuity mode. So it's going to beep, and also Hopefully that comes up. So we're going to come up here. First, we're going to check this fuse. Check this fuse right here. Fuse is good. We're going to come up here and we're going to put a probe on ground. We're going to touch the... So P13 is blown, and I predicted that, the way the pins were things. So this is the capacitor for P13. This is for M92. So far M92 seems good. So signal. So M92 seems to be fine. Not sure what that is. I'll have to look up that component and see if that's supposed to be shorted like that. Let's check BQ to see if there's any issues with BQ. No. Oh, no issues with BQ. And we'll check the P13 capacitor. We know P13 is bad, but we'll check the capacitor anyways. So I'm going to touch the solder pad, ground leg here. Yep, P13 is blown. So P13 needs to be changed, M92 needs to be changed, and then I need to do some trace repair on this this little guy right here. So let's see how close I can get in here to see it. So this little guy right here, I might be able to tack that down with some solder mask and then solder a new filter on there so it doesn't seem to be broken. So I can test it to another point on the board later after I tack it down. If it doesn't work, I can always pull it up to do the repair properly, to run a wire, an actual jumper wire. So that is where we are on this. So it needs a new port. It definitely needs P13. It needs a filter and some trace repair work done, and then hopefully it will boot up and power on, and we will be good to go. But I am going to call it here for this episode, and I will get in the next episode. Hopefully it will be in a few days, and we will have this fixed. You can visit me on social media at these links. You can email me any questions. At this point, I am almost to 1,000 subscribers and having the community tab, and I will be posting some data I've learned about the Switch on there. You can also visit me on Patreon, where the data is available with no need to sign up. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks to all you that subscribed. I really appreciate it, and give me a like too, please. Thank you. Have a fantastic day.